Kay, Claire, and then Nate.
Kay Presto, carsandcompetition.com. Jeff, you've been running stronger in the second half of the season. Is it because the car setup is better? You've been running up in the top 5 position. What made the difference in the second half? You've been coming on much stronger.
Well, I think we've been fairly consistent throughout the year. We, our problem's been executing. We just haven't executed, and that's been our problem here in the Chase too. I mean, that's, if you look at our year, I can go back and name 7 or 8 races that we had a great shot to win the race and we didn't. And something happened in the last 20, 25 laps of the race, and that's how our Chase has gone as well. We've put up with Clint a lot. It's been a pretty big distraction, and so I mean, honestly, for us, it's I feel like we perform at a high level, but we don't finish at a high level, and that's been really disappointing.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius NASCAR Radio. When do you want NASCAR to step in and regulate, and how much? We talked about it all week. Some fans are like, why doesn't NASCAR step in there with Ruderman? You shouldn't be able to do that. People get hurt. And the other one is the have-at-it philosophy. Where should NASCAR step in, and where should they just let you guys regulate it yourselves? And can you regulate it yourselves?
Well, you can regulate yourself, but it turns into what we saw last week. I mean, it's everybody wants everything. They want NASCAR to stay out of it until it's not convenient for them to NASCAR stay out of it. Then they want NASCAR to be involved. It's you can't have it both ways. When it gets severe, like what we saw, with Carl and Brad. I mean, my God, at some point something's got to happen. And at some point you can cross that line, and NASCAR's got to step in. And that's the level that I think NASCAR should step in. I think that if they're going to say boys have at it, and they're going to let you go after it, then let you go after it. And there's a certain amount of penalty to be paid when you don't show people respect over and over and over. And NASCAR's not going to do that. They never have. So you have to. And but you can cross the line, and similar to what we saw with the 99 and that group, and that's when they would need to step in. Well, I don't know how they would have stepped in before the incident. I mean, I'm sure that they've had a conversation, or I don't know if they've had, but I'm sure that at some point, there's been a conversation. I think that intentionally wrecking people is not a good thing. At the same time, sometimes that's your only recourse.
Jeff, going back to Kyle and Ruderman, Greg Biffle was talking to some of us at the R&D Center on Tuesday, and he said that as a guy in the Chase, his goal is not to be involved with anybody in anything, period. And that, he couldn't tell on the replay if Kyle had done it intentionally, but he said that wasn't so much the point as don't put yourself in that position. Knowing that you believe that they didn't do it intentionally, but do you think that, 50 laps into a race, is there a way that an accident like that for a Chase guy is avoidable? Can they back off a little bit? I mean, I know it's easy for us to sit here and say that, but as a driver, is that
well? Listen, that wreck that happened last week, and honestly, Clinton and I could have wrecked like that. When you're in the gas trying to pass somebody, and something happens and they slip, you can hit them. And I think that's what happened. I don't think that was on purpose. I think it's just hard racing, and the way things are today, you can't run 80%. And then just say, well, now I can run 100. It doesn't work like that. It's too competitive. You got to pass when they drop the green flag on a restart. If you're not kicking ass, you're getting your ass kicked, and you got to go. And I mean, it's just that simple. I mean, you can't. There's no waiting around. And when there's an opportunity to pass, you pass. When the only way to do that is to push. You got to push. If you're not doing it, you're not getting by anybody. You're not. It's just the nature of the business. And if nobody cared how fast you went, there'd never be a wreck. The fact is, the faster you go, the better you're doing. And the only way to go fast is be up in the gas. And that's why we have wrecks.
Last 2 questions.
Jeff Burton, this is our Grant, Southern California Christian Entertainment. Quick question. You've been around long enough. Do you think that the tendency now on TV not to mention the sponsors, we've gotten down to the car number. We occasionally talk about the driver, but we don't talk about the sponsor's car. You know, it's not the.
You're speaking of the commentators?
I'm talking about the commentators, the way the sport's covered right now in the media. Is that hurting the driver and the teams from finding new sponsors? Because if you're not in the top 3 or 4, your sponsor's not getting seen, but he's not even getting heard about. We're not talking about you as the GM Chevrolet. We're not talking, or the GM car. We're not talking about the the Folgers or whatever happens to be the sponsor du jour. So they're not getting the press. They're not getting.
Well, I haven't noticed
that. Is that hurting you when you're out?
I haven't noticed that, but you have to understand, I'm not watching the race on Sunday. So.
But you go out trying to get sponsors, and they say,
Well, again, I haven't noticed that they don't mention it as a Cat Chevrolet. I haven't noticed that. Whenever I get interviewed or whenever I'm on the radio or I'm it's always driver to Caterpillar Chevrolet. So, but I'm not watching a race on Sunday. I think that our TV partners need to understand, and I'm not saying they don't. Okay, I want to be clear. I'm not saying that they don't understand, but our TV partners need to understand that. It's not just about the sponsors that they have on their program. It's also about the sponsors that we have on our race cars, and that's a fine line that they walk. It's they have people that are paying them that do advertising on the during the races, and certainly they have to they have to make sure they're taken care of. But what's make the sport work is that everyone gets taken care of, and if they start trying to eliminate that, then that would be a major problem, and there wouldn't be much future in that.
Dustin Long, Landmark Newspapers, and if this has been asked, we can skip it. But in light of what we've seen with paybacks, it seems like that they're happening more at mile-and-a-half tracks or the bigger tracks. Where, correct me if I'm wrong.
Because we're on a lot of them.
Okay, I didn't know. Is that become more of a concern because of the speeds as opposed to this happening at Martinsville, Richmond, and Bristol? Even though there's issues that can happen there.
Well, anytime you intentionally try to spin somebody out or you're putting them in jeopardy. The faster you're going, the more jeopardy you're putting them in. And there should be a consideration for that. And, things need to be really, really bad to start intentionally wrecking somebody. They need to be really, really bad. So I think if it gets to that point, you really need to check yourself and think about what could be the consequence. When you got road rage, man, you ain't thinking straight. And but you really need to catch yourself and understand if you're at California, you're running really, really quick. You need to use your head about that. I don't know if it's more acceptable or not. I don't know. I just it doesn't appear to me that it's more acceptable wherever you are. So I don't think it is. I hope it's not.
Jeff, thank you for your time and good luck this weekend.